Hey guys, it's Tuesday. I'm getting almost closer to posting my video on Monday. And today I was thinking about what to talk about. And I wanted to tell you about this panel that I was on about a week ago. It was a eating disorder panel. The University of Utah, the college that I am attending for my master's program right now, has a group called Voices of Diversity VOD, and they pick a subject to do they basically do a seminar every month. So this year it's about body image and perception in our society. And I was on a panel this month. There's a professor there. Her name is Justine Reel, and she has done about 17 years of research on eating disorders in diverse populations. So the subject, the title of the symposium was Chasing the Fountain of Youth Eating Disorders in Diverse Populations, and especially talking about eating disorders in women who are over 25 and past college age. There is a growing the problem with eating disorder research and information out there is a lot of the research is done, and this is true of almost any research that is done. A lot of the research that is done in academic settings is done on Psych 101 students, college freshmen, and usually white upper class girls, and so there is a huge disparity in research among other groups. And so if you don't fit into that category, then you may not fall under the same, I guess, this picture of what an eating disorder looks like, or of the reasons behind it. You know, we used to have like this perfect picture of what we thought an eating disorder was. It was always an enmeshed family system, and we're finding that that's not necessarily true. We're seeing eating disorders pop up in older women, or in women who've had eating disorders while they're younger and may not have recovered, or found some periods of recovery and relapse. That's pretty common. And one of the things that's interesting that I talked about and that Justine verified with her research is that while younger girls report a lot more issues with body image and body perception, older women who have eating disorders tend to be, hold on a minute, I gotta scoot up a bit, okay, tend to be more emotionally attached to their eating disorder, and it can be a lot more difficult to recover because of that, because either it's been a lot of years, or they actually completely identify with the disorder, and so losing that is like losing a part of themselves and having to redefine that. And that's also true of younger women as well, but within an older population, while there is some of the body image issues that come up, that's kind of a side note a lot of the time. So I thought that was very interesting. There's going to be a seminar next month on men with eating disorders. It's called Men and Muscles. Justine just came out with a book, and I don't have it here with me because I lent it out, but it's called The Hidden Faces of Eating Disorders, and each chapter focuses on a different population. So you have, it talks about gay, lesbian, transgender community and eating disorders, older women, and even there were some people on that panel who have worked in geriatric setting, and one lady in particular who reported working with women in their 80s and 90s who had eating disorders and had that pattern their whole life, but because it used to be thought that no, these women of that age don't have eating disorders, it was kind of put off because, a lot of people, when they get older, they lose their sense of taste, they lose their sense of smell, food becomes less interesting, and so a lot of older people eat less. But these were women that had true signs of eating disorders and patterns, and were in nursing home settings with eating disorders. So it doesn't just affect younger women, and I think that's one thing that I'm just very impressed with this research that's going on, and I think it's very important to bring light to the diverse populations, because we don't always think about that. I think that's changing, but there's still a lot of the work that needs to be done in that area. And one of my main areas of interest is eating disorders among pregnant women in the postpartum period. That tends to be a huge area of relapse, and risk for postpartum depression is huge. So that's another population. So it was just very, very interesting. And so if you don't happen to fit into the single white adolescent to college, undergraduate age, traditional student criteria of an eating disorder, you're really not alone. There's a growing population out there of women and men who are showing patterns of disordered eating. And there's a lot of different reasons for it. Part of it's biological, part of it is social. I mean, we used to think that it was either, the nature or nurture mentality, either it was all biological or all social construct, but now we're finding that that's both have some truth to it, and neither one is completely true. And it's just very complex. So it's interesting, and we continue to find out more information, and I'm really enjoying the research I'm doing, and I hope that everybody's doing well, and you guys have a good week.